So, hello and welcome to another unboxing, and I'm going to do this unboxing on my newly acquired Magic the Gathering playmat. It was made by unspielbar.com. You can find the link in the description, and again, as I said before, everything that we're showing are things that we have actually bought ourselves. We don't get any affiliate links, we don't get any money, there's no sponsorship involved. So when we show something, we showcase it because we are convinced it's a good deal. Now this one is made kind of like Lord of the Rings theme. So this is the Old Forest. All of their playmats are completely copyright free. So when you buy them, they will be fine for you to use and play. You could play this with a commander deck because there's a space for your commander. You have the levels 1 through 5. Over here you've got the exile, you've got the graveyard, and here you've got your library from which you draw, and here you can place your basic lands or your lands, and basically it's all written on it in German. So this is a German mat, but it's very easy and very nice to use. The surface is also really lovely. And today we're going to do an unboxing, and I know they're coming in thick and fast, but today we're going to unbox one of 2 Innistrad double feature boxes. Now I'm going to unbox only the one because the other one we want to use for a sealed booster challenge. This came out in 2021/2022, I want to say. And it is basically an amalgamation of both Magic the Gathering Innistrad Midnight Hunt, so that's the werewolf one over here, and Crimson Vow, that's the vampire one over there. It is completely different in the way it looks because they've been trying to, and I'm just going to zoom in a little, they've been trying to reimagine the feel of these old Hammer horror videos, and it's a double feature. So you first go into the vampire one and then into the werewolf one. So it's the same artwork, but it has been given an overhaul, and it's now all in black and white. So it's also, if you have everything else, all of the other cards, this will not give you additional cards. On the contrary, since they just took all the cards from both sets, which is almost 600, 570 or something, and you only have one display to open, you're not going to get all of the cards. So you will also, as with any sealed booster challenge, which we will be playing, no way of getting a viable deck because you will not be getting all of the lands. So when we're going to do this, we will have a box of lands available to us that each of us can get as many lands in the desired color as we need. But without further ado, and this time I won't actually break the box because I really want to preserve the box because I think it is absolutely beautiful. Let's take a look at what it says. This is actually made in the USA, which is interesting because usually the European market stuff comes from Belgium. So this was actually made in the United States and then shipped over. Experience the ultimate horror crossover of Innistrad Midnight Hunt and Innistrad Crimson Vow. Every card brings chills and thrills with special frames and black and white art you can only find here. Inside each booster you'll find 2 rare and or mythic rare cards, 1 from each set plus 1 silver screen foil card of any rarity. Popcorn not included, but highly recommended. So each of these has, I believe, 12 cards. And you get 4 commons from the werewolves, 4 commons from the vampires, you get 4 commons, and then you get so that's 8. No, I think it's got 15 then. And then you have 2 and 2 uncommons, and then what's ever left. So I think there's 15 in each. We'll see. Removing the foil. And here you can see what it looks like on the side. So basically, the way they've done it is that since it's all in black and white, in order to see the colors, they have actually given them colored edges, and just for your information, what you can see here in purple is actually black, because of course black with a black border would look different and stupid, so they've done it this way. So let's see if there is anything else, because I really want to preserve the top of this and then see if we can make this into something beautiful. So we're gonna put this back and to the side. And here we are. So, okay, it has 15 cards each. So let's just take them out. 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's 24 boosters. And let's see what we can find. So I'm just going to also sit down. I'm going to put one of these in focus and zoom in like so. And then we will get started. Okay. Now, with regard to the mechanics, there is one thing, there are actually two things that are different for this set of Magic the Gathering than for other sets. Number one, you have the day-night cycle. So basically, sometimes you will see a text on the card saying if it is day when this card comes in play, it becomes night, or the night-day cycle starts. And also, you will get double-sided cards because werewolves change when it's night. And in order to show this and to basically turn this into a mechanic, some of the cards have double-sided information on them. So let's see. This is now the first foil. I don't know if this is, yes, you can see that it's the Covetous Castaway. It's a blue card, as you can see by the border, or maybe you can't, but it is also edge foiled. And the cards actually look beautiful. I was talking to my partner in crime the other day, and I was showing her these online, and she said, well, you know, the problem with that is if this is not well done, and you couldn't really tell from looking at the, and I'm actually going to cut one of these because I really want to keep the booster as well, the booster package. It can look like it was just photocopied, and that is correct, but I can tell you, and I will see if I can actually make a change to the setup. That's slightly better. So bring this up close and you can see that it doesn't look like it's been photocopied. There's a sheen on it, and let's see. You can also see that the information has a border around it, so it looks really, really nice. So the Covetous Castaway. It's a creature human. You pay 1 and a blue one. And as you can see here, there's a little icon for a wolf. So this means it comes from the werewolf set. So it comes from Midnight Hunt. When Covetous Castaway dies, mill 3 cards. Put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. You can disturb this being for 3 plus 2 blue ones, so 5. So what happens is when you when you disturb it, quite often they have a, yeah. So when you disturb it, it turns, so basically it is in your graveyard. Makes perfect sense. And then you disturb it, you pay the cost, and then it comes back as this. So it's also one of those double-sided creatures, and also again it's in foil. And it is the Ghostly Castigator. It's a creature, it's a spirit. It used to be a human, now it's a spirit. It has flying, and when Ghostly Castigator enters the battlefield, you may shuffle up to 3 target cards from your graveyard into your library. You've milled 3 earlier, so you know. If Ghostly Castigator would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So let's see what we have. So first we're starting with the commons. Hobbling Zombie. This is a black card. You can tell by the icon up here, the skull, but also because it's got purple on the side. And I know that this is a bit problematic maybe, but you will get used to it. It's a creature, zombie, death touch. So basically death touch means that when you do any damage with this one, and he only does 2. So if this was to attack a 1/3 creature, nothing would happen, but since it's got death touch, it'll take out the creature. When Hobbling Zombie dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed if it can't block, and when it attacks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. So the zombie creature token cannot, if it's decayed, it means it can't block. I see someone try to stop you, my pet. How delightful. Blessed Defiance. It's a white spell, instant. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains lifelink until end of turn. When that creature dies this turn, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. If I'm going, I'm taking you with me. Pestilent Wolf for 1 and 1 green. Beautiful card, beautiful card. And again, it doesn't look like it's been photocopied. They have done something to enhance the art. And I really like it because sometimes I find some of the art in not just MTG but other TCGs is sometimes quite garish, and it doesn't really fit the mood, in my opinion. I mean, this is always very personal, but in this case, you know, it's gothic. It's you know, it's a black and white. It's like Dark Gothic, the card game, and the deck builder. So I really like the idea that it's black and white, but of course I would never be able to actually get 4 of each, or highly unlikely, so that I could build a whole deck just using these, but hey, one can dream. Pestilent Wolf gains death touch until the end of turn if you pay 2/1. Wolves that feast on zombie flesh and survive carry the foul disease of the dead wherever they roam. Locked in the Cemetery, 1 and 1 blue, enchantment Aura, enchant creature. When locked in the cemetery, enters the battlefield. If there are 5 or more cards in your graveyard, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. And I like the idea because it's locked in the cemetery, and it references your cemetery, i.e. Your graveyard directly. Help! I'm not a zombie! Let me out! Adamant Will, instant, for 1 and 1 basic and 1 white. And this is now from the vampire area, because as you can see there's a little bat symbol. Let's see if I can get even closer. Like so. Okay. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains indestructible until the end of turn. Damage and effects that say destroyed don't destroy it. I refuse to die before I see the sun rise again. Flame Blessed Bolt. Instant for 1 red. Flame Blessed Bolt deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. I noticed you were short on party favors, so I brought my own. Higa, Slayer Captain of Garstaff. And again, beautiful artwork. Nature's Embrace, an enchantment, Aura, 2 and 1 green. Enchant a creature or a land. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+2. As long as the enchanted permanent is a land, it has tap and add 2 mana of any color. So you can work this on your own lands and gain mana of any color. Weary Prisoner. Creature, human werewolf, for 3 and 1 red. Defender, daybound. If a player casts no spells during their own turn, it becomes night next turn. So when this creature is in play, and I, myself, who's the controller, or my opponent, don't cast any spells, i.e. also don't play any creatures, because creatures are spells as well, it'll turn to night. Your guard attacked me, he got what was coming to him. He's a 2/6, and when we turn him over at night, he turns in a wrathful jailbreaker. And again, the art is beautiful. Creature, werewolf, wrathful jailbreaker attacks each combat if able. Nightbound. If a player casts at least 2 spells during their own turn, it becomes day the next turn. And now I'm coming for you. 6/6. Blade Stitched Scarb. For 1 blue and 1 black creature. So this is basically a multicolor. So you can tell this by the fact that it's got a, well, kind of yellow border. This is a rare one creature, zombie soldier. Other zombies you control get +1/+0. The surviving militia members reunited with their fallen comrades sooner than they'd hoped. Hound Tamer, that's a werewolf rare creature, human werewolf for 2 and 1 green. Trample, it's a 3/3. 3/+1 tree. Put a +1/+1 token on a target creature. It's day bound. If a player casts no spells during their own turn, it becomes night the next turn. You and me were not built for captivity. Now basically, this means it turns over and at night it becomes an untamed pup. For 4/4, trample. Other wolves and werewolves you control have trample. Very good. 3/+1 green. Put a ++ counter on target creature. Nightbound. If a player casts at least 2 spells during their own turn, it becomes day next turn. So if I just basically am in the night phase on my turn and I just attack, it doesn't turn day until my opponent or me on my next turn play at least 2 spells. Sorcery, retrieve, and again, what a beautiful image. That's now from the vampire set, you can tell. For 2 and 1 green, return up to 1 target creature card and up to 1 target non-creature permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Exile, retrieve. The roots preserve the armor for 100 years, safeguarding it for travelers in need. Groom's Finery, again. That's our vampire rare for 1 and 1 black. Artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. It gets an additional +0/+2 and has death touch as long as an equipment named Bride's Gown is attached to a creature you control. Equip for 2 attached to a target creature, so you have to pay 2 mana to attach it. Let's see if we actually have the Bride's Gown. I'm going to put it over here so we remember. Mask of Grizzlebrand. That is a legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature has flying and lifelink. Whenever equipped creature dies, you may pay X life, where X is its power. If you do, draw X cards. And you pay 1, 2, 2, and then you equip for 3. The Legacy of Evil lives on. And here we have our final one. And that is the Creature Wolf Ascendant Pack Leader. Interestingly enough, it's a creature wolf, but it comes from the vampire set. For 1 green, Ascendant Pack Leader enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it if you control a permanent with mana value 4 or greater. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on Ascendant Pack Leader. And no second side. Let's take the next one. I'm totally team werewolf, by the way. Bounding Wolf, 2/+1 green. Flash, reach. Basically, it's a wolf that's trying to catch a vampire bat. With their usual prey scared off by werewolves, the wolves of the Ulvenwald adopted inventive new hunting techniques. So that's a real wolf, it's not a werewolf. And it basically needed to learn how to jump really high and possibly even fly a little bit in order, or get reach in order to actually be able to hunt. And it doesn't flip. Then we've got Devious Cover-Up. I really like it, you know, how they're building this scarecrow, and it's actually a human being. For 2 and 2 blue, instant counter target spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. You may shuffle up to 4 target cards from your graveyard into your library. And again, a spell is anything, even a creature. Widow Weber's new scarecrows seem to attract more crows than it's scared off. I wonder why. Brimstone Vandal for 2 and 1 red. Creature, Devil, Menace. This creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. If it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as Brimstone Vandal enters the battlefield. Whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, Brimstone Vandal deals 1 damage to each opponent. Okay, Silverbolt. And again, I mean, just look at this image. Really beautiful, and it's a neutral card. It's an artifact. You can pay 3 and tap it, sacrifice Silverbolt. It deals 3 damage to target creature. If a werewolf is dealt damage this way, destroy it. When a werewolf charges, you'll only have time for 1 shot. Best make it count. Captain Ebenhardt. Daybreak combatants from Vampire. 2 red. Creature, human warrior. Haste. It means that they don't suffer summoning sickness. When Daybreak combatants enters the battlefield, target creature gets +2/+0 until the end of turn. After weeks of unending darkness, a glimpse of dawn was all the people of Stensia needed to rekindle their will to fight. Bramble Armor. Oh, beautiful. Really beautiful. For 1 and 1 green. When Bramble Armor enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+1. So basically you don't have to pay the equipment costs when it first enters, only if you want to change it. Doomed Dissenter, creature human from the Vampire deck. When Doomed Dissenter dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. The most dangerous place to be in Keswick is alone. So you would play this and then expect it to die, and then you get a powerful zombie of 2/2. Stitched Assistant. It's a zombie creature for 2 and 1 blue. Exploit. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. When Stitched Assistant exploits a creature, scry 1. So basically you look at the top card of your deck, then draw a card. To scry 1, look at the top card of your library, then you may put that card on the bottom of your library. You may, but you don't have to. So if you scry, because it says, and then draw a card, and you say, okay, this card is super cool, you just leave it on top and then draw it. But if you say, meh, not my card for the moment, put it underneath and hope for the best. Dreadhound. 4 + 2 blacks. Creature, demon, dog. When Dreadhound enters the battlefield, let me just check one thing. Sorry, the blue ones are uncommon. When the Dreadhound enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. Put top 3 cards to your library of your library into your graveyard. Whenever a creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from a library, each opponent loses 1 life. It hurts souls towards eternal torment, so it's a psychopomp. Village Watch. Red for 4/3. Haste. So basically they can attack when they are first played. Daybound. If a player casts no spells during their own turn, it becomes night again. It becomes night the next turn. You have my word. You'll see no wolf attacks while we're around. So what happens when it is night? They turn into village reavers. Creature, werewolf. Wolves and werewolves you control have haste. Nightbound. If a player casts at least 2 spells during their own turn, it becomes day the next turn. With no guards to be seen, the cobbled streets of Garstav echoed with howls. Witness the future. Sorcery. Target player shuffles up to 4 target cards from their graveyard into their library. You look at the top 4 cards of your library, then put 1 of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So very much in theme of the whole idea of undead coming back from the dead. You do a lot with your graveyard. Mischievous Catgeist. Now I was so hoping I would get this card because this is a kitten. It's a kitten with a ball of yarn and both are ghosts. Cat Spirit. Whenever Mischievous Catgeist deals combat damage to a player, it does a 1/1. Draw a card. Disturb. You may cast this card from your graveyard transformed for its disturb cost. 2 + 1 blue. I never get any knitting done, but I don't entirely mind. Lawn, Lamhold, Innkeeper. So let's see what it comes back as. Cat-like Curiosity. It's an enchantment. You enchant a creature. Enchanted creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. If Cat-like Curiosity would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Deserted Beach, the first land. It's a special land. Deserted Beach enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. You can, so that's blue actually. I don't know if, yeah, one can see it. You can tap it and then you get 1 white or 1 blue. Drown yard floods and unnatural frost made the once peaceful boardwalk deceptively treacherous. And I have been to this place. It's in Ireland and it looks exactly like that. Graf Reaver, creature, zombie warrior. That is a rare, oh sorry, that was a rare card as well. So basically now we're in the rare slots. Exploit, when this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. So it has to be one of your own. You can't sacrifice your opponent's. When Graf Reaver exploits a creature, destroy target planeswalker. Whoa. At the beginning of your upkeep, Graf Reaver deals 1 damage to you. So, you know, comes at a price. And here we've got the foiled, and it's Lacerate Flesh. Sorcery. Lacerate Flesh deals 4 damage to target creature. Create a number of blood tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt to that creature this way. They're artifacts with, for 1, tap, discard a card, sacrifice its artifact, draw a card. Next one. And yes, this set was only available in English. It was never translated or localized. Festival Crasher for 1/4. It's a devil. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Festival Crasher gets +2/+0 until the end of turn. So many candles, so many flammables, so little time. A 1/3. Blade Brand, instant, target creature gains death touch until the end of turn, plus draw a card. Skirstar cultists believe that the right poison purifies a tainted soul before it makes its way to Ormendal. So 1 and black. 2 and white, Ritual Guardian, human soldier, Coven. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, Ritual Guardian gains lifelink until the end of turn. By ancient magics, by angel's grace, we will survive this night. And it's a white. Stuffed Bear, neutral. Artifact, Stuffed Bear. You have to pay 2. Becomes a 4/4 green bear artifact creature until end of turn. So first of all, you have to pay 2 to bring it in, and then you have to pay another 2 to make this happen. It takes a taxidermist of unusual skill to cleanly stuff and mount a beast without severing its primal predatory drive. So yeah, or maybe something went wrong. Wolf Strike, instant. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 until the end of turn if it's night. Then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So first of all, it gets +2/+0, and then you could still attack with it. But in addition to this, it already does the damage. Tovala's Howl Pack had scattered, but the Dire Strain survivors were still on the hunt. Unhallowed Phalanx, that's a really interesting card for 4/+1 black. It's Zombie Soldiers. Unhallowed Phalanx enters the battlefield tapped, and it's a 1/13. In case any of you new recruits were wondering, this is why we don't use mass graves anymore. Canon of the Mausoleum Guards. Chiller with the Grave. Instant. This spell costs 1. It's a 2. So it's 2/+1 blue, and it costs 1 less to cast if you control a zombie. Tap target creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step, and you draw a card. Frozen is frozen, whether it's cold with terror, or both. Drog Skull, infantry, creature, spirit soldier, disturb 3, +1 white. You may cast this card from your graveyard. So it's a 2/2. He swore to protect the moorlands. A little thing like death with no excuse to break his oath. When he comes back as Drog Skull Armaments. It's an aura enchantment. And you can enchant a creature and they get +2/+2. And if Drog Skull Armaments would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, it's exiled instead. When he could no longer carry on, he imparted his strength to the one who took up his duty. I really like it. That's also very thematic. And I really like the story that these cards tell. Loyal Griff. Now, this looks like a cormorant or crane, and I have learned that the moon on Innistrad, on that plane, has on it kind of like the silhouette of a crane slash cormorant. Creature, Hippogriff. Flash, flying. When Loyal Griff enters the battlefield, you may return another creature you control to its owner's you control to its owner's hand. Silverstreak had lost her rider, but not her instinct to help humankind. 2/2. Oh, that's awesome. Spell Rune Painter. Oh, this is going to be good. Creature, human, shaman, werewolf. So we're now in the uncommon slots. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Spell Rune Painter gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. She's day bound. And when it gets night, we have a Spell Rune Howler. And this is actually one where I think it doesn't come out as well in the black and white because you can't see her runes. But that's also one of the ones that isn't painted garish when you see the colored version. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Spell Rune Howler gets +2/+2. Then she's +5/+6. Undead Butler, creature, zombie. When Undead Butler enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. When Undead Butler dies, you may exile it. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. 1/2. Bramble Worm, creature, worm. Reach, trample. When Bramble Worm enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life. It's very expensive, but it's very good. 5 life. 6/1. And it attacks, and it has a 7/6, and for 2 and 1 green, exile it from your graveyard and you gain 5 life. Very expensive, very much for the late game, but hey, that one packs a punch. Whoops, let me zoom out a little, like so, yeah. Legendary creature, Ooze, Slogurk the Overslime, trample. Whenever a land card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on Slogurk the Overslime. Remove 3 +1/+1 counters from Slogurk to return it to its owner's hand. When Slogurk leaves the battlefield, return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand. That's really good, and he only costs 1. He only costs 3 mana. Headless Rider, creature. So this is now the rare slot. The Headless Horseman. Whenever Headless Rider or another non-token zombie you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature. He wanders the moorlands hoping to one day chop off a head worthy of replacing his own. 3/1. And we have the Whispering Wizard in foil. Oh, that's a really beautiful card again. And it's 3 in blue. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. This ability triggers only once each turn. Evolved was aghast when his device revealed the full scope of the Geist infestation. Stolen Vitality. It's an instant for 1 and 1 red. The target creature gets +3/+1 until end of turn. If it's your turn, that creature gains trample until the end of turn. Otherwise, it gains first strike until the end of turn. There's nothing like a good meal to really lift the spirit. Vampire Interloper. Creature, flying. Vampire Scout. It can't block. 2/1. If Uldaran have begun demanding blood offerings from the villagers in their territory, their agents arrive from the sky to collect the ceremonial bowls in eerie silence. Okay. Flare of Faith. Instant. That is actually one that doesn't come out as well in the black and white, I feel. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's a human instead, it gets +3/+3 and gains indestructible until the end of turn. I fell to my knees. I called out to Sigarda, and then I saw my tormentors blaze with blessed sunlight, because what's happening here is they are casting this light, and you can see the werewolves being pushed back. Jack-o'-lantern, I really like that. It's an artifact for 1 neutral. 1 plus tap, sacrifice Jack-o'-lantern, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard, draw a card, or 1 plus exile from your graveyard. You can play this from your graveyard, again, very much in theme, add 1 mana of any color. By the end of the festival, it was the only thing still grinning. Aim for the head. Black, choose 1, exile a target zombie, or target opponent exiles 2 cards from their hand. Works every time. Halana, Kesig Ranger. For 2 and 1 black. Wretched Throng, creature, zombie horror. When Wretched Throng dies, you may search your library for a card named Wretched Throng. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, again. Belstead, Cathar Recruit. Last words. 2/1 for 1 blue. Nurturing Presence. Enchantment, aura, enchant creatures. Enchanted creature has, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, this creature gets +1/+1. When Nurturing Presence enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Blood Servitor. Artifact, creature, construct. When Blood Servitor enters the battlefield, create a blood token. It's an artifact with pay 1, tap, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Please, my friends, help yourselves to the help. Olivia Voldaren. Stormkirk, Blood Thief, creature, vampire, rogue. At the beginning of your end step, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on the target vampire you control. With House Voldaren Ascendant, some members of the Stormkirk line took it upon themselves to borrow from the blood tides. Okay. He's a blood thief. No, actually, she is a blood thief. Nebelgust Intruder. Creatures. Oh, that's beautiful. Flash flying. When Nebelgust Intruder enters the battlefield, up to 1 target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-0 until the end of turn. Seaguardian Paladin, creature, human knight. As long as you've put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature this turn, Seaguardian Paladin has trample and lifelink. For 1/+1 green, +1 white, target creature you control with +1/+1 with a +1/+1 counter on it gains trample and lifelink until the end of turn. Okay, so the first one only works if it's been done this turn, and the second one whenever. Panicked Bystander, creature, human, peasant. Help! There's been a horrible murder. Well, whenever Panicked Bystander or another creature you control dies, you gain 1 life. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained 3 or more life this turn, transform Panicked Bystander into Cackling Culprit. A human rogue. Whenever Cackling Culprit or another creature you control dies, you gain 1 life. For 1 and 1 black, Cackling Culprit gains Death Touch until the end of turn. Ha! They fall for it every single time. So you can play this only, or this would only make sense in a white-black deck. Arlen, the Pack's Hope. Woohoo! We've got our first Planeswalker, and she is a mythic rare. Legendary Planeswalker, Arlen. Daybound. If a player casts no spells during their own turn, it becomes night next turn. She comes in with 4 loyalty. Until your next turn, you may cast creature spells as though they had flash, and each creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1, and then she gets +1 loyalty. -3, create 2/2/2 green wolf creatures, and she is red and green. And Arlen the Moon's Fury, when she is transformed. Nightbound. If a player casts at least 2 spells, it becomes day. And for +2, until the end of turn, Arlen the Moon's Fury becomes a 5/5 werewolf. You don't have to do anything. You can add 2 loyalty and you get 1 red and 1 green mana. So we're going to put her to the side. And then we've got an instant winged portent, and I don't know if you can make this out, but this is actually a death skull. For 1 and 2 blue, cleave. You may cast this spell for its cleave cost. If you do, remove the words in square brackets. So you either pay 1 + 2 blue or 4 + green + blue, and if it's the 1/2 blue, then you draw a card for each creature with flying you control, and if you choose the more expensive one, then you draw a card for each creature you control. No, 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 it's just a murder of crows, not an omen of murder, I think. York, classic tracker. Well, there's a tracker. Catilda Dawnheart Prime. And she is a rare. Legendary creature, human warlock. Really beautiful card. Protection from werewolves. Human creatures you control have tap. Add 1 mana of any of this creature's colors. And for 4, plus green plus white, and tapping, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. The angels may have abandoned us, but Grindamu has not. Well, she's following an interesting god. Okay. Duel for Dominance. For 1 and green. Instant. Coven. Choose target creature you control and target creature you don't control. If you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, put a +1/+1 counter on the chosen creature you control. Then the chosen creatures fight each other. They each deal damage equal to their power to the other. Organ Hoarder. Creature. Zombie. 3/2. For 3 and 1 blue. When Organ Hoarder enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put 1 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. The Stitcher died years ago, but her dutiful assistant still keeps the laboratory well stocked. Famished Foragers. It's a creature vampire. When Famished Forager enters the battlefield, if any opponent lost life this turn, add 3 red mana. 2 + 1 red, discard a card, draw a card. Furious to find the workshop empty, the starving vampires flew into a frenzy. 4/3. Ecstatic Awakener. Creature, human wizard. 2 + 1 black, sacrifice another creature, draw a card, then transform Ecstatic Awakener, activate only once each turn. Graveyard Ormondal, I kneel before you, a fragment of your will, a servant of your tyranny. I beg you, release the strength within me. And he's cheap for 1. Black creature, demon, awoken demon. Bones cracked, flesh split apart, and the screams of euphoric agony gave way to unholy laughter. So he looks like this, and then he looks nothing like himself. He looks truly demonic. Heron, again heron, heron, I said crane, heron, blessed geist, so that's the thing that you see in the moon. Flying spirit, you can exile it and pay 3 + 1. To exile it from your graveyard, create 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. Activate only if you control an enchantment and only as a sorcery. Or you can just use it as 3/3. It's a very good card. Lacerate Flesh, we've seen this before. Mulch. Sorcery, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all land cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Tread carefully. You remember what happened in the last quiet, peaceful clearing. Halana to Alena. That was the last they heard. Gluttonous Guest. Creature vampire. When Gluttonous Guest enters the battlefield, create a blood token. It's an artifact. Whenever you sacrifice a blood token, you gain 1 life. 1/4. It's very powerful. Unnatural Moonrise. it becomes night. Until end of turn, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Flashback. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. Rise of the Ants. Sorcery. Create 2/3/3 green insect creature tokens to gain, and you gain 2 life. Flashback 6 +2 green. You may cast this from your graveyard. Wandering Mind. This is one of the ones that I find so kind of out of everything because it's kind of like a Lovecraftian thing and it doesn't really belong there. This is one that I don't like. When Wandering Mind enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Fell Stinger. Creature, zombie, scorpion, death touch, exploit. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. When Fell Stinger exploits a creature, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. And since there's a hand limit of 7, you can actually make them get rid of a card without them wanting to. Burn Down the House. Sorcery. Choose 1. Burn Down the House deals 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Or create 3/1/1 red devil creature tokens with, when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. They gain haste until the end of turn. Catilda, Dawnheart Martyr. Legendary creature, Spirit Warlock, flying, lifelink, protection from vampires. Catilda, Dawnheart Martyr's power and toughness are each equal to the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments. You may cast this from the graveyard for its disturb cost, and then you get Catilda's Rising Dawn, which is an aura enchantment. You enchant a creature, and this creature becomes flying, lifelink, and protection from vampires, and it gets +X/+X, where X is equal to the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments. If Catilda's Rising Dawn would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Necrosynthesis is the foil. And actually, don't really see the foil on... Oh yes, now you do. Enchanted creature, you enchant a creature with it, and the creature gets, whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. When the enchanted creature dies, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is its power. Put one of those cards into your hand, and the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. I really like that one. Necromancy. Okay. Oops. Since it came out already, Thalia, Garden of Thraben, legendary creature, human soldier, first strike, she's the foil. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. Thraben belongs to the living. I will not rest until it's cleansed. Let's see. Electric Revelation. It's an instant spell. As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card. You can draw 2 cards. Okay, so you have to spend all of this and discard a card to draw 2 cards. Well, okay. Olivia's Midnight Ambush. Ooh. The target creature gets -2/-2 until the end of turn. If it's night, that creature gets -13 until the end of turn. Remember that Phalanx that we saw that has a 1/13? You want her to counter that. And you were almost finished with that ritual, weren't you, darling? How very rude of me. To make it up to you, I'll send you an invitation to my wedding. Bait Hook Angler, creature, human, peasant, disturb. Basically 2/1. Jaw was determined to stay out until he got a bite from something big. Yes, and this is my demon card because there is something big looming back here. And when we get him back, he's a Hook Haunt Drifter. He's a spirit. He can fly. If Hook Haunt Drifter would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Even in death he casts his lines, forever fishing for reasons long forgotten. Hungry ridge wolf, creature, wolf. As long as you control another wolf or werewolf, hungry ridge wolf gets +1/+0 and has trample. Even vampires know to travel faster when they hear howling in Gaia Reach passes. Mulgrave Millipede, and have you noticed that we're not drawing any lands? So as you can see, if you were to use simply these to build a deck out of a booster, a challenge, you can't because you simply don't get enough lands. When Mulgrave Millipede enters the battlefield, you mill 3 cards, then put a +1/+1 counter on Mulgrave Millipede for each creature card in your graveyard. To mill a card, blah blah. Between stitches, cultists and scavengers' corpses are in high demand. Blood-crazed socialite, vampire with menace, which means you need to have 2 at least to block her. When she enters the battlefield, you create a blood token, and whenever blood-crazed socialite attacks, you may sacrifice such a blood token, and if you do, she gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. Lantern Bearer. I really like this image. It's flying, creature spirit, you can disturb it. Val didn't know what the Silent Geist was offering. And then it becomes the Lantern's Lift. It's an enchantment aura. It enchants a creature, it gets +1/+1 and then has flying. If Lantern's Life would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead, but she knew it would be rude to refuse. Vampire Socialite. Creature, Vampire Noble, Menace. When Vampire Socialite enters the battlefield, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each other vampire you control. As long as an opponent lost life this turn, each other vampire you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Now, one thing you will notice is there are so many cards that have kind of like 2 sides, so you will have to play with opaque sleeves, and of course you will have to take out the cards every single time, and I think in the long run this is going to damage them. So that's the downside to this. And this is a multicolor, black, red. Dual Craft Trainer, creature, human soldier. First strike, Coven. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, target creature you control gains double strike until the end of turn. It's all in the follow through, 3/3. Mark of Retribution, sorcery, choose one or both. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until the end of turn, and target vampire you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. Arm the Cathars, sorcery. Until end of turn, target creature gets +3/+3. Up to 1 other target creature gets +2/+2, and up to 1 target creature gets +1/+1. Those creatures gain vigilance until the end of turn, which means when they attack, they don't tap. Faith is a Cathar's greatest weapon, but a sword of blessed silver is a close second, and it comes in for 3 mana. That's actually not very expensive. Jada, Ghoulcaller of Nephalia. Legendary creature, human wizard. At the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decades, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decade. It can't block, and when it attacks, you sacrifice it at the end of combat. Rise, my pretty thing. Why rot in the river when you can serve at my bidding? Yes, why indeed. Dying to serve, enchantment. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. I used to have hired hands, but I discovered they make better weight staff with the rest of the body attached. I used to have hired hands. Took me a while to get that one. Revenge of the Drowned. It's an instant. A heavy net doesn't always mean a good catch. Target creature's owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. You create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decade. Okay. I may need to get a glass of water actually after this one. Clarion Cathars. When Clarion Cathars enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human creature token. It's a 3/3. The sound of the trumpet is both warning and comfort. It tells of approaching danger, but also reminds the village folks that someone is there to stand against it. Timberland Guide, Human Scout. When they enter the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature. Hiring an experienced wilderness guide isn't cheap, but it costs less than a search party or a funeral. Otherworldly Gaze. Look at the top of 3 cards of your library. Put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest back on the top of your library in any order. Flashback. 1/1. You may cast this again. Tireless Hauler, creature, human werewolf, vigilance, daybound. The new hire proved more than enough to replace the 3 farmhands who disappeared the week before. 4 and 5. And when we turn them over, we get the Dire Strain Brawler. And he's vigilance, nightbound, 6/6. A few townsfolk had the suspicion, but none dared accuse him openly. Syncopate, instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays X. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. Fool! Can't you see the tide has turned against you? So you can pay however many mana you want. X +1 blue, and then the other person has to match the X if they want their spell not to fizzle. Vampire Slayer. That's Buffy. When that's Kaya, saved her village, Berit realized even vampires could be killed. When she brought one down herself, she realized she had found a calling. 2/2. Whenever they deal damage to any vampire, you destroy said vampire. Pyre Spawn. 4/2/2, creature, elemental. When Pyre Spawn dies, it deals 3 damage to any target. 6/4, memories of the Harvest Tide tragedy festered until they grew into an incarnate rage that set the world ablaze. Honored Heirloom, artifact. You can add 1 mana of any color if you tap it. 2 plus tap it plus exile. Exile target card from a graveyard. After the travails, rune chanters set about repairing twisted symbols of Avacyn as the first step in restoring faith in the church. Okay. Faithful Mending, you gain 2 life. Draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. It's actually quite cheap. It's a very good one. What has been looted can be restored. The church lives on within us. Dissipate. Counter target spell. If that spell is countered, exile it instead of putting it into the graveyard. Morning light, chase away the fears at night, Gavany Children's Rhyme. Sanguine Statuette. It's an artifact. When Sanguine Statuette enters the battlefield, create a blood token. Whenever you sacrifice a blood token, you may have Sanguine Statuette become a 3/3 vampire artifact creature which has haste until the end of turn. Restless Bloodseeker. Creature, vampire. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, create a blood token. Sacrifice 2 blood tokens, transform Restless Bloodseeker, activate only as a sorcery, and it becomes Blood-Soaked Reveler. Reminds me of the bloodbath in Blade 1. Okay, at the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, create a blood token. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life if you pay 4 + 1 black. Intrepid Adversary, creature, human scout. Lifelink. Okay. Valor counters. Creatures you control get +1/+1 for each valor counter on Intrepid Adversary. Okay. You can pump this one when he first enters, so you want to have lots of mana left when he enters. Overcharged Amalgam. It's a zombie horror. Flash Flying Exploit. When overcharged Amalgam exploits a creature, counter target spell, activated ability or triggered ability. Unholy Officiant, Vampire Cleric, Vigilance. Put a +1/+1 counter on Unholy Officiant for 4 and 1. Is this twisted ceremony simply a mockery of the human rite, or has Olivia fallen for her own charade. Sorin Markov. Sorin is a planeswalker. As you can see, doing these unboxings takes a lot longer than unboxing Lorcana, because there's simply so much to see on the card. So we're going to have to speed this up a little. Let's see. What we get in this one. Piercing Light is our foil. It's a common instant. Piercing Light deals 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Scry 1. Creatures of the night dissolve like shadows in the light of faith. Talia, Guardian of Thraben. So let's see what we've got. Tapping on the Window. Shipwreck Sifters. It's a creature. Falconrod Perforator. Lunarch Veteran, human cleric. And he can also be disturbed, and then he becomes a spirit cleric. Kessig Flame Breather, human shaman. Snarling Wolf. Oh, thank the angels, it's not a werewolf, just a regular one. Okay, Bruno Ulvenwald, guide, last words. Creature skeleton, persistent specimen. Blinding Geist. Ooh. Binding. You can disturb it and then it comes back as Spectral Binding. It's an enchantment aura. Obsessive Astronomer, human wizard. Sleep. I can sleep when I'm dead. Arcane Infusion, an instant spell. Really beautiful. Cobbled Lancer. It's actually a cobbled together horse with a lance incorporated into it. Don't worry, everyone. I hear hoofbeats. The Gavany riders are coming to save us. Well, that's what he thought. Magma Pummeler. Creature elemental. And here we've got our first rare. Sorcery Hallowed Respite. And Stensia Uprising is the other rare. Rotten Reunion. This is so much like the Grant Wood painting that we all love. Gavany Trapper, Harvesttide Sentry, Bird Admirer, Fear of Death. It's an aura enchantment. Sea Guarder's Imprisonment, Shore Strike, Apprentice Sharpshooter, Borrowed Time, Sacred Fire, it's our uncommon. And I really love this. I mean, this is like, you know, a werewolf being burnt. Cloaked Cadet. Ballista Watcher. Curse of Surveillance. That's our rare wolf. Grolnok the Omnivore, legendary creature frog. Whenever a frog you control attacks, mill 3 cards. Okay. And then we've got the foil Faithful Mending. We've got this again. We've got this already, but not in foil. Okay. So it's going to be interesting at the end of the day, how many do we get several times? Component Collector. Pax Betrayal. It's a sorcery. Creature Zombie Giant. Morkrit Behemoth. Gavany Silversmith. Gift of Fangs. Steelclad Spirit. Parish Blade Trainee. Now this is the first one that we see with training. So training is a new, I think it's new to this edition. Whenever this creature attacks with another creature with greater power, put a +1/+1 power on this creature. When Parish Blade Trainee dies, put its counters on target creature you control. The recruits trained in Eternal Night, fueled by the hope that they might one day see the sun again. End the festivities. Dawnheart Mentor. Cathar's Call, and again you see the crane kind of type. Hero's Downfall, so now we're in the uncommon section. Creature Spirit, Warlock, Dawnheart, Geist. And now we are in the rare section, Ludovic Necrogenius, Human Wizard. You can transform him if you pay lots of money. And then he becomes Olag, Ludovic's Hubris. It's a legendary creature zombie for 4/4. As this creature transforms into Olag, Ludovic's Hubris, it becomes a copy of a creature card exiled with it, except its name is Olag. It's 4/4 and it's a legendary blue and black zombie, in addition to its other colors and types. Put a number of +1/+1 counters on Olag equal to the number of creature cards exiled with it, and the mechanic behind it is you pay X plus 2 blue plus 2 black, and you exile X creature cards from your graveyard. So X can't be 0. So basically, if you have like 6 creatures, you could pump this up to a 10/10. Dorothea, Vengeful Victim. Every day a Voldaren draws breath is a day I cannot rest. She's already a spirit, but you can even disturb her more. And then she comes back as an enchantment. Dorothea's Retribution. And then we've got the Rotten Reunion in foil. I think it was the first card that we looked at today, wasn't it? Well, it was one that we saw maybe in the last pack. Eccentric Farmer. He really likes his millipedes, doesn't he? Careful now. Don't want to get the seeds stuck to your feelers like last time. Okay. Secrets of the Key. Mounted Dread Knight, sorry. Bat Whisperer. Rural Recruit. Complete with swine or boar. Oh, when Rural Recruit enters the battlefield, create a 3/1 green boar creature token. The Dawnheart survivors welcome recruits of all shapes and sizes. Blood Fountain. I'll have you know, wild boar are really dangerous. Okay. Discard, okay. Weaver of Blossoms. Human Werewolf. Ominous Roost. Beloved Beggar. Spiked Ribsaw. Markov Waltzer, so now we're in the rare section. Okay, and now we are in the... Sorry, that's the rare section, Light Up the Night. Geralf Visionary Stitcher. And then we've got Nature's Embrace as the enchantment aura in foil. This is the first time in any of my unboxings that I've come across a discard card. Okay, and it actually means you get 1 card less, because obviously this is really put in instead of a card, so we have 1 vampire card less. Okay. Cathar Commando, Howl of the Hunt, Unblinking Observer, Crossroads Candle Guide, Serpentine Ambush, I mean that is like a serious... Supernatural Rescue, Ancestral Anger, Ceremonial Knife, Creature Drake Horror, Baneblade Scoundrel, Creature Drake, Stormchaser Drake, Dormant Grove, The Celestus, a legendary artifact. It's a neutral card, welcoming vampire. And the bat, the courier bat in foil. And the Ancestor's Embrace is our foil. Duress, Unruly Mob, Snarling Wolf, Storm Rider Spirit, Selhov Entomber, Unholy Efficient, so we've got this twice. We've also got the Snarling Wolf twice. Reckless Impulse, Desperate Farmer, Hungry for More, Mysterious Tome, Screaming Swarm, Markov Purifier, Curse of Silence, and mythic rare Mana Form Hellkite, flying. Malicious Invader, aren't you going to offer me a drink? Is our Innocent Traveler is our card, our foil card, and oh, Kindly Ancestor is the spirit creature, and then it gets turned into an aura as a disturb, and this one comes in, and at the beginning of your upkeep, any opponent may sacrifice a creature. If they don't, transform Innocent Traveler. And you get the Malicious Invader. So she goes from 1/3 to 3/3. Voldaren Stinger. Crawl from the Cellar. Celestus Sanctifier. Bramble Armor. Witch's Web. Diagraph Scavenger, Death Touch, Cradle of Safety. I really don't like this card. Heron of Hope, Heron. Blood Tithe Collector, Thermo Alchemist, Griffwing Cavalry, Child of the Pack. I really love this. I really love this. And she turns into a savage pack mate. And she is red-green. Curse of Leeches. And Anya, Maid of Dishonor, is our rare vampire. And she's a legendary creature. Immolation, Blood Pact, Soul Guide Griff, so a Psychopomp, Gale Drifter, you can disturb it, and then it turns into a Whale Drifter. And then it is 2/2. Crushing Canopy. Courier Bat, we've got this one twice as well now. Wanderlight Spirit. Can only block things that are flying. Kindly Ancestor, so we've got her too, so she's an Ancestor's Embrace, so we've got this one twice as well. Play with Fire. Morbid Opportunist. Artifact, equipment, bride's gown. We need this if we want to have the groom's finery. We're going to put it over here. Honeymoon hearse. Sarith, the Viper's Fang. Sundown Pass, it's a land. And Fleeting Spirit as our... I'm going to put the land over here. Should have done that earlier. Shadow Beast Sighting. Larder Zombie, Eating from a Jar. Lambhold Harrier. Harvest-Tide Infiltrator, creature, human, werewolf. And when he turns, he becomes a Harvest-Tide Assailant for 4/4. Sanctify. Upbraid. Flourishing Hunter. Rot-Tide Gargantua. It's a Kraken. Flesh Taker. That one is so disturbing. It is so incredibly disturbing. Clear Shot. Edgar's Awakening. Reclusive Taxidermist. Learsa, Forgotten Archangel. Legendary Creature. And Faithbound Judge. That's a mythic rare creature soldier, and you can disturb him, and then he becomes Sinner's Judgment, an aura. And here we've got the Stolen Vitality, which we also have in non-foil. Novice Occultist, Human Wizard. Search Party Captain, Human Soldier. Path to the Festival. Geist Wave. Siphon Essence. Fierce Retribution. Falconrad Celebrants, Vampires. Toxic Scorpion. Cathartic Pyre. Chaplain of Arms. Whispering Wizard. I think we've seen him before in foil. Radiant Grace. A Haunted Ridge, land. Hiveheart Shaman. And Sell-Off Entomber. We've got him as well in non-foil. Considering that I want to have 4 of every card, you know, I would need to have over 2,000 cards. Burn the Accursed. Diagraph Horde. Candle Grove Witch. Return to Nature. Undying Malice. Cruel Witness. Piercing Light. Hookhand Mariner, we've seen him before. Firmament Sage. Join the Dance. Runebound Wolf. Does he have a second? No, he doesn't. Lunar Rejection. Return target, wolf or werewolf creature to its owner's hand. Draw a card. Smoldering Egg. This actually turns into an Ashmouth Dragon. Nice card. Cemetery Desecrator. Another mythic rare. Very nice. And Honored Heirloom. We've got this twice as well. So this is now our foil version. Startle, Moonrager Slash, No Way Out, Morning Patrol. It's creepy out here, isn't it, boy? I always feel like someone's watching us. Lightning Wolf, Sporeback Wolf, Pointed Discussion. I really like this Pointed Discussion. Blood Servitor, we've seen this already. Necrosynthesis, we've seen this as well. Turn the Earth. Lantern of the Lost. Voltaic Visionary, no. Croaking Counterpart. We had a big frog, so now we've got a small croak. Changes of Fortune. Vanquish the Horde. And that's a rare in foil. And I also have a gift, because every time you order from Trader Online, they give you one rare. Oh, and I need to switch out the camera. So, and now I've changed the hardware, and now we can take a look at the last remaining 5 packs. We've got Sungold Barrage, Dawnheart Rejuvenator, Consider, Silverbolt, we've seen this before, Scattered Thoughts, Traveling Minister, Voldaren Epicure, or Voldaren Epicure, Fearful Villager. He turns into a fearsome werewolf. Dawnheart Wardens, Delver of Secrets, Sawblade Slinger, Creature, Archghoul of Thraben, Memory Deluge, Lantern Flare, and Snarling Wolf in foil. So now we've got 3 Snarling Wolves, which is not too shabby. Almost a set. Raise the Effigy. Let's see if we can zoom in a little more. Raise the Effigy. I really love this picture. Siege Zombie, Homestead Courage, Tavern Ruffian. Now he also changes into Tavern Smasher. Spore Crawler, Bleed Dry, Dreadlight Monstrosity. It's a crab horror. I mean, Ragged Recluse. She changes into the Odious Witch. Scab Wrangler. After Uda's hat boutique in Selhof was destroyed by werewolves, she relocated outside of town and took up a new type of sewing. Okay. Grizzly Ghoul, Zombie Bear, Resistance Squad. It's not that I didn't expect some defiance, but I did hope it wouldn't be so heavily armed, Olivia Voldaren. Thirst of Discovery. That one actually doesn't look nice in black and white. Augur of Autumn. She looks very cool. She's now in the rare slot. Old Rutstein. Legendary Creature Human Peasant. And Kessig Naturalist. Creature Human Werewolf in foil. When we turn him over, we see Lord of the Ulvenwald. Or Ulvenwald, I should say. Very nice. I've, in the meantime, actually taken the time to sort all of the cards, and as expected, we only have very few several times over. Might of the Old Ways. Falcon Abomination. Neonate's Rush. Defenestrate. Destroy target creature without flying. Bam. Nebelgast Begeiler, Blood Petal Celebrant. I actually don't like her in color because she's so terribly garish. Dawnheart Disciple, Vampire's Kiss, Ritual of Hope, Death Bonnet Sprout, Ollenbock Escort, Creature Blood Hypnotist, and legendary Planeswalker Teferi, who slows the sunset. Woohoo! And Edgar Charmed Groom. And in foil we have Markov Retribution. Very nice, very nice. We've got another mythic rare. Candle Trap, really lovely artwork. Plummet. Flip the Switch. Evolving Wilds, that's a land. We're going to put those aside. Where's my land pile? It's over here. Repository Scab. Griff Rider. Training again. Belligerent Guest. Evolving Wilds. Foul Play. Mystic Skull. Vile Spawn Spider. Reach. Soul Cipher Board. Galvanic Iteration. Dream Root Cascade, it's a land. And Burn the Accursed in foil. I believe we've got this one in non-foil, and this is now our last. And then we're going to take a look at the random rares we've received, which will probably be in German, and which will probably not have anything to do with Innistrad. Abandon the Post. Arrogant Outlaw. This is one that comes up quite frequently. We've only seen it once, but this is actually really lovely in color. Thraben Exorcism. Candlelit Cavalry. Sheltering Boughs. Oh, I love this. Grisly Ritual. Alchemist's Retrieval. Weary Prisoner. Voldaren Ambusher. Gotcha. Moonsilver Key. Now we're in the non-common section. Laid to Rest. Wedding Security. Enduring Angel. Mythic Rare. Kraken Horror. Hullbreaker Horror. And in foil we've got Immolation, which I also believe we have in normal. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have drawn. With regard to mythic rares, we've got Enduring Angel. Teferi, who slows the sunset. He's a planeswalker. Arlen, the Pack's Hope, also a planeswalker. Manaform Hellkite, a dragon. She's not mythic rare, but she's also quite important. She's the Forgotten Archangel. Faithbound Judge. And Cemetery Desecrator. So that is in total 1, 2, I'm gonna zoom out a little. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 mythic rares. 2 of whom are planeswalkers. And we have, because that was also something that I wanted to know about, how many lands would we get? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 non-common lands. Dreamroot Cascade, Evolving Wilds twice. Shadow, Sundown Pass, Haunted Ridge and Deserted Beach. This one is beautiful. And then we've got something that I wanted to look at, and that is Bride's Gown. Because this, I'm going to put these over here. These two should be played together or should be in the same deck. This one is the Groom's Finery Artifact Equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. It gets an additional 0/2 and has Death Touch as long as an equipment named Bride's Gown is attached to a creature you control. And this is the Bride's Gown. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. It gets an additional 0/2 and has First Strike as long as an equipment named Groom's Finery is attached to a creature you control. So you want to have these two in your deck. Well, I mean, you could have them separately, of course, but it makes sense for them to be in there. So that was the first installment. Like I said, I'm going to prepare lands, and then we're going to do a box, a booster, sealed booster, but I believe we're going to take 7 each instead of just the 6, because with 6, I think it's going to be quite difficult to build a deck. But now, here, as I've promised, I have been buying from Trader Online, and the link is below in the description. And whenever you buy something from them, I don't know if it's attached to a certain level of, you know, like, or how much you have to spend, but I bought 3 cases, 3 boxes, display boxes, and I got 3 cards. So let's see. It says, as a thank you for your order, 1 rare, and it's completely random, and we get Obscura Ascendancy, enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell, if its mana value is equal to 1 plus the number of soul counters on Obscura Ascendancy, put a soul counter on Obscura Ascendancy, then create a 2/2 white spirit creature token with flying. As long as there are 5 or more soul counters on Obscura Ascendancy, spirits you control get +3/+3. Okay, so basically when you play this first, and then you play your first spell, and you have to pay at least 1 mana, you start putting stuff on here. That's a nice card, which you could put into this deck because of the topic it covers. Then we have Drawn from Dreams, Sorcery. Look at the top 7 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. From a sea of infinite possibilities, our choices create the future. Okay. Koi, I really like them. And let's see what the last one is. It is Opportunistic Dragon. When Opportunistic Dragon enters the battlefield, choose target human or artifact an opponent controls for as long as Opportunistic Dragon remains on the battlefield for 4/3, mind you. You gain control of that permanent. It loses all abilities and it can't attack or block. Very nice. Okay, so I have to say that I'm very happy with this. Now comes the hard part. I need to sleeve them, but at least I've ordered them. And now I'm going to ensure that they are now in alphabetical order and also by color, so that I can also see how many I've got of which. Talk to you soon. Bye.